Welcome back to the Tula Community Podcast. It's a really great gift and honor to have you here and to I see the stats, I see the stats of like what's going on obviously, on my podcast, streaming platform, and I get to see the numbers. And fortunately for me, this platform allows me to see um, little like awards. Like it gives me little like emails for like, yeah, you got 500 downloads or something like that. So stuff like that in life is, it's just it's so beautiful. It's so small, but it means so much. And it's like little things like that, and receiving these things to know that people are listening, and that you're here, and tuning into like what's going on with this space. And it's just such a huge honor. I was just thinking about it because I knew that I always was interested in having a podcast, and that there's so many aspects of podcasting that I think are perfect for the type of individual that I am and for the world that I want to connect with. But sometimes, you have to think to yourself, you just wonder, like, but, like, who's to say, like, who's going to listen to me? Like, and not even in a way that you don't feel confident in yourself. It's just that, like, I don't know, doesn't have to be a thing that people are interested in, but it seems as though that they are. And so it means a lot. It means a lot. And I think most of you, work in a space where you're the owner of the business or the company, or you do a lot of your own things, or you've got a little side thing going on. And so what that means to the individual that's doing it, because who's to say whatever you're doing is going to be received, and that people will be receptive to whatever that is. So thank you so much. And I didn't really have any guests to talk to the last few months, and I was recovering, of course. And so we're back here, and happy to be here. Like, I think there's also an aspect of this. Sometimes, like, I know I need to record a podcast. I know that it's on my list of things to do my own episode, and share, just me talking and whatever, and it's always on my list. I'm like, I have to record a podcast. I have to record a podcast. And to actually set up the microphone and do it doesn't always happen. And then once I start doing it, I feel stoked on it. So you got to remember that you always feel good. You always feel good after you do the thing that you didn't really think you wanted to do, or that you have some resistance around, So that practice goes for all of us, including myself. So in this episode, I got to talk to Jessica LeBlanc, and the way that I got connected with her, or found out, who she was, or anything like that, I would say is probably about a year or maybe more ago, actually. Um, she had done some collaborations with my friend Alira, and so when they shared the content, they used some photos that I had taken. And so, of course, just through through tagging and stuff like that, I saw her account and started following her. And we've been in like a little bit of contact here and there. Like, I really feel aware of what she's doing, and witnessing what she's offering to the world, and all of the things she gets up to. And to me, like, from the outside, I was like, wow, okay, she's really not only involved and doing, but definitely like an action person. And when I was doing my island trip in July and planning it back, roughly about May, June, just organizing the logistics of the island trip, I knew that I would love to record a podcast with someone that lives on Vancouver Island, because I don't have access to them in person year round. And, I was like thinking, who could I talk to? Who could I talk to? And I knew that I was going to Ucluelet, and I knew I was going to Tofino. And I asked Jess, and she was really keen. She was like so excited, so welcoming, and stoked to do it. So yeah, it aligned really, really nicely, and I got to talk to her on my first day there. So once I ferried in, I drove straight there, and pretty much straight to her house, like, and yeah, and we got to sit down in her home in Yuki and have this conversation. So you'll of course get to hear that in a second here, and I'll just read you a bit about Jess. Jess LeBlanc is a multifaceted educator and facilitator committed to holistic well-being and personal transformation. With a background in child health and a bachelor's and master's in education, she specializes in mental health, community care, and health promotion. As a psychosocial educator, trauma informed coach, speaker, yogi, and leadership consultant, Jess's work centers on building human capacity and life enhancing skills. Her expertise includes self awareness, emotional literacy, cognitive flexibility, nervous system regulation, resilience, motivation, empathy, communication, relationship building, confidence, and self regulation. Grounded in the belief that the mind and the body are equal partners in healing, Jess's approach bridges science and spirit to foster meaningful embodied change. Known as a connection catalyst, Jess empowers individuals to strengthen the relationship between their inner and outer worlds. Through her company, Embodied Living, she designs transformative experiences and tools to help people live and lead with intention and integrity. She also partners with organizations to enhance wellness and leadership programs, weaving in trauma-informed and holistic lens to support sustainable growth and workplace well-being. So you already know what I'm going to say here, because this is what everybody says. It's like very similar to when people say that they're just going to pop onto Instagram stories. I just want to pop on here, you know? So I'm going to say here that all of the resources and everything you need to find Jess is linked below. You know, her website, Instagram, her YTT upcoming program, and some free resource, and all the things that she does. And you'll get to find out in this episode all the things that she does. And it was nice because I feel like, I think through online spaces like Instagram and what have you, you do get to get a pretty good, for the most part, picture of just what somebody does and what they get up to and what their world kind of looks like, and all of the ways that they're, you know, kind of like sprinkled into these things that they do. And it seems that some creators just, you know, happen to have 4 different things going, and Jess is kind of one of those people, you know. It's just like all of these different little things that she keeps busy with, and lots of things that I just maybe had a bit of an idea about, but not really. And so I got to like discover a lot about what she gets up to, because like, unless you maybe like sit down and either listen to this or talk to her, you might not really see and like witness all of the things that she's getting up to. But I love people like her that just like go for it and just do it, you know. And so that like is something that it's just, I just love people that are living, you know. So that's about Jess. And you know, I got to share about a sponsor. And what I'm going to share about our sponsors, like we have a few, and I don't think that we had well.ca. Many of you will know well.ca. I'll link it below. We don't have a code with them yet. I think maybe with time, but we do have a link. And if you use the link to do your shopping, then, you know, you support us here. And, you know, many of you use Well. I know that. And they have a lot of really beautiful products, of course, like a lot of natural, holistic things. So I want to link that below because I don't think that we had that before. And of course, I appreciate your support. And it, you know, it's well needed. Like everything you all have done for me and this space is well needed and deeply appreciated. But I want to actually share about Be Half Moon because I think it aligns really well with this episode with Jess because it's in the yoga and practice space, of course. But, you know, Be Half Moon was the first company to take me on as an ambassador back in, it would have been 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. And that really did something for me. Like, it was such a honor to, you know, be like new in the yoga space and kind of like, you know, just like, I didn't even have Tula at that point. Like I didn't even have it. I was just teaching yoga and like, you know, running my own classes online and all these things. And when a company that you know of and that you appreciate and that have genuinely actually good values and good people at the helm, you know, see you and are willing to like take you on, it helps you. Like little things like this, it's like tiny little moments in your life, they make big difference and change. And it's like the difference between somebody telling you that you are intelligent and you're good enough and that you've got this, and somebody telling you that you're not good enough and kind of ruining your confidence, like that small little difference changes so much in someone's life. So to be seen and given that opportunity was an honor. And then eventually I was given an affiliate code with them once they launched an affiliate program, which also just like, yeah, what a nice thing from this wonderful company. And so many of you will know that they took a break from November last year up until about maybe 2 months ago now, roughly. And they weren't selling anything, and the whole thing was in pause. The website was in pause. There was nothing for sale. And, many people were upset, like, or just worried or wondering, like, where are they going to get their yoga props? Because, Half Moon has some things that you can find, but maybe not quite. And it is really actually one of those companies that I was a little bit kind of slightly concerned about, because I thought, well, where am I going to get even like a bolster from? I don't really even know. I don't know who has bolsters. I guess some other person would have to start it, but they're back. They're back, and I'm really proud of them, and I'm proud of Andrea, and I don't know the full story, of course, but business and life and all of the moving parts and the logistics of owning a company, a global company, is a lot. And so, we meet it with love. Like, no matter what it is, like, we meet it with love. And we welcome them back. So my code is Whitney15, and if you need any sort of practice, props and things that support your practice, I have the B mat. I like the B mat, and I like the bolsters a lot. And they have really nice meditation and like meditative props, like things to sit on and what have you, and things I haven't really found before, or can be hard to find. So yeah, just a little bit about our sponsor and what that means, what it means to us, and just what it means to me as an individual, building my confidence in the business space, and as you work your way into all of these little things. So yeah, thank you so much. And I hope that you enjoy this episode, and I look forward to hearing from you. And I love when you share, and I love when you share it, and tell me what you heard and what you liked and what resonated. And yeah, I'm here for it all. So yeah, thank you so much. All right, perfect. Okay, I'm here with Jess, and I've just arrived to your house 25 minutes ago, and it's already been excellent. That's amazing. Would you like to take the time to introduce yourself?
Welcome to my crib.
That's how it feels.
I know. I actually really love having you in my space, and so happy to welcome you, and so grateful and honored to have a conversation with you. I am Jess. I really dislike the question of like, what are you? What do you do? What are you? Who are you? Yeah, I think it's so multi-layered and dynamic depending on where I am and what's happening. But I think for the purpose of this conversation, I believe we're talking a lot about spiritual entrepreneurship. And so a big part of my world and my work is working with individuals moving through stress and trauma, equipping them with tools, like real tangible tools for embodiment. I'm the founder of Embodied Living, the founder of a festival called Lucent Festival. I do a number of different trainings and developments and work with organizations and leaders and individuals. I feel like I do so many other things, and I can't even remember them right now.
And do you manage all of those things on your own, or do you have people that help you with that? I would imagine the festival has help, but when you're creating your online spaces and platforms and sharing about your work, is that all you doing that?
It is largely me.
Wow.
So I would say I'm a solopreneur, but I don't believe anything is ever done in in solitude, at least not in my world. And so I absolutely have colleagues and dear friends and students that, lots of different collaborations occur. But the tangible, back end stuff, that's me. Yeah. I build my website. I do the invoicing. I run the marketing. I post on the social media. I respond to emails.
Yada,
Yada,
the
yada,
list
yada.
is so long. The list is like never ending. It just keeps going and going and going. There's like never nothing to do.
Absolutely. There's always something to do. And then not to mention being a really creative person. There's, as you can appreciate, you know, you get done one thing and you're like, oh, what about this project? What about that idea? Let's explore over here.
Right.
It's like just a chronic adventure.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't think I could ever go back to working for someone. I do a lot of consulting, different organizations and businesses through like educational components. Because I used to be a school teacher, fun fact. Yeah, and I left that world because I don't agree with it.
Like in public school?
Yeah.
Okay. And
kindergarten to grade 8.
Damn. Oh, woof. That's like quite the span.
Yeah, did a lot of teaching.
And teaching a certain subject, or was it just
just more general.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna ask you actually what is the story of how you kind of course got here and I don't know, landed in a place where you felt like you wanted to support people in a spiritual way and like doing what you do now. Like how did you find spirituality? Was that like something that always kind of was like you would kind of touch on it a little bit, or like you found it and then you just went full force?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what's the story?
What's the story?
Yeah, what's the
Such
story?
a great question. I feel like I should say something profound, like spirituality found me. I find spirituality.
No, this is a real podcast.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Keep it professional. Honestly, spirituality is kind of a funny thing, in my opinion.
Okay, tell me.
I grew up in a Catholic school community, but I wasn't baptized as a Catholic. I think my parents kind of like snuck me into that school. My dad grew up Catholic, but we weren't practicing Catholicism at the time. But the school was meant to be like, this is a better community. They got good sports, yada, yada. Right. And I do feel really blessed with the school that I ended up going to. But I remember being one of the only students who wasn't baptized. And therefore, I couldn't go up and get communion, or I couldn't participate in certain things in church. And so I felt really left out. And so I begged my parents to get baptized and to be a part of the church.
At what age was that?
I think it was just before grade 8, because everybody was going to be having confirmation. And so I had already missed first communion, and then there was this confirmation ceremony. You know, just like things were happening. People were participating in something, and I was on the outside. And so that kind of was a big, looking back, big pivotal moment around spirituality and what it meant. And of course, I didn't have, you know, my little child brain was more just like, I don't belong here, and I want to do anything and everything to belong to this group of people. And so, I mean, that's organized religion in a nutshell. They got me good.
They still got me.
Yeah. And there's merit to it. But it just really highlights the value and the importance of being a part of a community. And so as I kind of went on through life, I wasn't really going to church. I wasn't participating in any of the Catholic ways of being. Obviously they were like the commandments and things, you know, like whatever. Things were in my brain. I knew that I needed to be a good person. And so as life went on and I found yoga through sport and different other channels, I started to recognize like, oh, spirituality can be so many different things, and it can look super different to so many different people. Like it doesn't have to be a certain one way, and we don't need to fight about
and
what
titles.
is right.
Sometimes I find there's titles, because if you say the word God, then everybody for the most part is going to think just like Christianity or something like that, you know. But you could use that title even in a yogic way. You don't have to just use it in a Christianity way. So there's all these different ways you could call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started to recognize and realize as I grew and became, you know, more evolved as a human being, that there was a lot more to spirituality, and that for me it was spirituality is really different to religion, and religion felt really organized and to your point, like labels and scriptures and ways of being and operating and rules and regulations and procedures and practices, whereas spirituality felt a bit more fluid. It felt a bit more open. And I really loved that when I started to immerse myself into the world of yoga. I really resonated with this idea of still connected to some kind of divine, force, universal, beautiful, like energetic, cosmic, whatever.
It's very special,
But at the same time, like, it wasn't so like rule bound. And I think that in my yogic journey, I've seen people take it down that path where, this is the way it needs to be and how it ought to manifest in your life and how you need to show up, and like, this is the way you do the pose and this is the way you say the mantra. And it's like
a lot of rigidity.
It can get really rigid, but for me, I just started to soften my approach to what spirituality really meant. And honestly, now I'm just like, it's comical because there's spirituality in every single damn thing of your life. And spirit is everywhere, and learning is everywhere, and inspiration is everywhere. And so that's kind of how I look at it now. It's like, oh, I'm having a fight with someone. Spirituality. Like,
damn you.
Like, oh, we're having a deep and meaningful conversation, connected, and we're here on my couches. Like, oh, beautiful. Like, spirituality,
Yeah, coming together.
So, anyway, I don't know if that really truly answers your question, but I think that's how did I get to wanting to help people. I really recognized, even as my journey as a school teacher, that people were so ill-equipped, were so unable to handle the everyday
especially
life.
Witnessing it in the youth. Like, sometimes I witness the youth, and even I've had these thoughts all the time on, man, I really want to work with like teenagers, or I want to work with kids just to give them these, this understanding, or this chance for them to, to understand themselves, or just, these teachings or whatever. Like, I think it would have been supportive for me as a kid to just have someone that feels kind and caring to talk to and to look up to and to share with, and to know that, like, it's probably all going to be okay or whatever,
Totally. Or even think about my experience wanting to get baptized just to belong.
Yeah.
And, and my parents, they were great. They were like, well, we're not going to really force you into any religion, so we're not going to, that's why we didn't baptize you. Mm-hmm. We wanted you to be able to choose.
That's kind of nice.
That's cool. It's a great approach. But with that, there were no real conversations around what that meant or how to be in choice about something like that. I wasn't, again, equipped with any kind of knowledge or resourcing. And I think that was like the theme of my entire existence thus far. And so when I felt like I was missing a tool or missing a mentor, I would just go and seek it. I would just try to find someone to help me, or I would learn about how to better resource myself in a challenge or a situation.
And that still feels like, does that thread still come through for you, of feeling this like seeking that you're saying, but also feeling like you're what is the word, left out in a way? Does that also carry forward with you?
Yeah, I don't feel so much of the lack of belonging piece. Like, I feel like I have worked really hard to build community and have really authentic, genuine relationships. But that stems from feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like an outsider in my family, feeling uncertain, feeling out of place, feeling like I saw things, felt things, like witnessed things, like I don't know. I really felt growing up like I was different, and I couldn't explain it, and no one could really talk to me about it. And so my whole life, I've been feeling so many things and experiencing so many things, and people are just like, oh, you're a hypochondriac. Oh, you're just so sensitive. Like, oh, you're
dismissive.
Just like dismissive, and not in any kind of way that is aiming to be like unkind or super rude, but yeah, I just don't think my parents even had the resourcing or the knowledge or the awareness of how to support someone like myself. And so I think as I've grown up over time, and I've gathered all these tools and these resources, and my own strength and my own understanding and my own personal awareness and accountability for all the ways that I am.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Not so great.
Whatever
and otherwise.
just being.
Yeah.
Being.
Just like being a human in this friggin' crazy world.
I think what I shared today was just about how, you know, you're just a being. Like you could learn all these things, and sometimes I find that people call spiritual people really hypocritical because we're like preaching, like, you know, to be a good person or whatever, but it's really, really hard to always be a good person. Like, some, you know, these things are going to come in. It doesn't make you a hypocritical. It just makes you a human being, you know, like you're just trying your best, you're showing up, and things are going to affect you. And that's also just, it's spiritual too. It's spiritual too, even if you get angry. Like,
thank you for being angry. And what is that showing us?
Yeah.
I don't have any. I think that's where, again, the like idea of like religion versus spirituality, and of course, like it's so nuanced, and it's language, and it's interconnected and related, and blah blah blah. But like I don't mean to like minimize it, and I don't mean to like suggest that people's religion is not important or people's spiritual practice. But like, I think when you just have a container where it needs to be just so, and that rigidity piece that you mentioned, and when you're being punished for not being X, Y, or Z, like no learning, no growth comes from fear, in my opinion. Like, sure, we can get shit done. I've been thrown into the fire my whole life, and I've figured it out. But that comes with a cost.
Yeah.
Like, it comes with a cost, and it's taxing on one's soul and one's spirit and one's physiology to constantly, you know, treading water in the deep end. So for me, I've just been like, okay, cool. Like, there's like how I was raised and the misunderstanding of who I am and what I'm about, and I've kind of like gathered this toolbox of resources that have really helped me be okay in this world. Yeah. And I just essentially, my business is like, hey, anybody want some tools? You want to feel better? Like, oh, you didn't have parents who gave you what you needed? Like, hey.
Which I feel like is often the case.
It's so, no one gets exactly what they need. I don't care who you are.
Right.
Come at me. Like, you don't.
Yeah.
And even the people that maybe were very provided for on a physical plane, they didn't receive the emotional support, you know, or someone was very emotionally tended to.
There's no perfect parent, you know.
No, and never ever will I sit in front of anyone, or will I encourage any client or student or friend or person on this planet to, you know, shame or blame or wrong their parent. Like, I do truly think most people are doing the best with what they have.
That's right.
But yeah, it's just really come to my attention over time that we have some work to do, and that's okay. Like, you know, we do need help and support and different tools at different times in our life, and there isn't just one size fits all of how to be in this world.
Yeah.
And so how do we best equip ourselves, and then tend to the needs of ourselves, and also tend to the needs of one another, and just become a bit more mindful, I guess.
Yeah. And when you were teaching, not yoga, when you were teaching something else, were you already starting to also teach yoga as a thing on, like, when did you phase out teaching in like public school?
Yeah, this was a long time ago, and I was definitely ahead of my time in terms of the mindfulness and yoga and breath and so on. And there were certain things that I would do in my classroom, like after lunch, for example, I would get everyone to just lay down in the dark and like breathe. And then I would get in trouble because I would get in trouble by the principals, or people would just be constantly questioning, like, why do you spend so much time talking about the person who stole the eraser, you know? And I'm just like, well, this is kind of a big lesson that we probably ought to learn right now. And sure, cool, we have this math lesson, but like, this is real time, needs our attention. And so I just really struggled to feel and accommodate I don't know, like the value that was placed on the curriculum,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
content of
well,
the
you had to
curriculum.
stick to that,
Yeah,
you know?
and again, that rigidity piece. Now that I'm having this conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, I really don't like rigidity.
It's interesting for a Taurus, you know, just
right? But I am
usually,
an anomaly.
Yeah.
I'm not your average Taurus.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I just like, I think for me, I really have to understand why. Like, why are we doing that? Why do you need me to behave that way?
Right.
Why is that part of the curriculum? If you can give me a good reason and rationale, I am so happy to honor that. But if it's arbitrary, or if it's just because that's the way it's always been done and we haven't taken time to change it or look at it or critically evaluate, then fuck that.
So do you ask yeah, fuck that. So do you ask the why from a place of like wanting a good reason and knowing the reason and having some sort of like logical understanding, or do you ask the why because you feel really like curious and interested?
I feel so curious and interested. And I mean, yeah, I don't think I'm ever asking why to be argumentative or challenging.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not that. It's more just like, why? Like, why do we do it that way? Like, why are we saying those things? Why do you behave that way? Like, where does that come from? Like, there's just so much that I think can be born from that place of curiosity. And it lends itself to a lot more tenderness, I believe, because we actually start to like unravel and get to the root or the heart of what something, you know, really is. And from there, I think that's the place where you can either change or shift or soothe, like whatever.
Yeah, I also feel like, you know, having an understanding is supportive for us to be, you know, vulnerable with one another, and also just to, have a place of softness, because sometimes you see people that are rushing and you kind of judge it a little bit. You know, you like see someone driving hectically, but like if you really knew the story, it's because they're rushing home because their wife is like in labor or whatever, like, you know, these types of things where it's like, well, there is a why there of why I am the way I am. Like, even before we started the episode, I was sharing with you some of, okay, I feel very sensitive, but I don't come across as sensitive. And now you have this understanding that I am this way because of these things, or these things happen to me. Similar to your upbringing, feeling a little bit maybe left out, or feeling like you wanted to have this belonging, or that you didn't, you know, and that carried through in a few places in your life, or breaking rigidity.
Yeah. And I mean, I think everything that we do and how we are in the world, it comes from this tapestry of who we are, you know, and there's reasons why we are the way that we are. And those don't have to be cemented. Those don't have to be our forever patterning. And so it's really nice to sometimes explore and be like, oh, I experienced maybe feeling like not cared for or neglected, or that I didn't belong or under-resourced. And so like now my business is literally born because of that. I don't necessarily experience those things personally on a day-to-day. Sometimes I do.
Of course,
you know, but it's been a motivating factor to do what I do in the world. And there's an important piece to that, and it's part of my story. And I think a lot of people try to deny parts of themselves and their story and their tapestry, and they're like trying to make, I just like imagine this quilt, and they're like, yeah, the quilt's really nice, but like I don't like that patch and I don't like that patch, so I'm just gonna like snip it out. But then you just have these bloody holes in your blanket, and it's like, well, actually you need all of these things, whether they're traumatic and hard and challenging and devastating and grief riddled, like, you know, but that's why the tools are so important. So like we don't need to stay in those really painful parts of our experience, but they're important. They teach us if we're willing. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah, definitely do. You know, and so then you like left teaching how many years ago, sorry? Like high school teaching or like kid teaching, public school?
Would be like over 10 years. And oh my gosh, I felt so much shame. I felt like a big failure, despite knowing in every cell of my body that this was not what I wanted. Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, this system is whack. And the ways of operating within the system, like every teacher is burnt out. Every teacher is undervalued, under-resourced. It's still the way it is. And so I was like, oh, I can't push shit uphill and try to change this entire paradigm. Like, okay, what am I going to do instead? I'm gonna actually leave. And so I'm still an educator. I still use all of those transferable skills that I, was so blessed to acquire. But yeah, there was so much in that like post-secondary grad school experience, just like the whole nature of academia. It ruffles me sometimes. We put so much weight on it, and we shame people who don't have degrees, and we glorify people who have multiple degrees, and honestly, none of it fucking matters. Like, it really doesn't. And I know people who are wildly brilliant, but they're assholes. And I know people who are the kindest, most loving, community-oriented humans that work so hard, and they don't have a degree or whatever, or a piece of paper. And exactly. I'm just like, there's talk about spirituality, like yoga, like the light in me honors the light in you, and that which is between us, like namaste.
Right.
Like, if we're living and embodying that, then it doesn't matter.
Well, it's all very irrelevant when you like really blow out to a universe perspective of the earth. It's just all kind of like, I don't know, sometimes you have to like blow yourself out and just view the earth from the universe's point of view, and you're just kind of like, we're very small. Nothing really matters. I was having this conversation with a girl that she messaged me a while ago now, but I went to university with her, and so I haven't seen her in just under 10 years. And I dropped out of university because I don't like school. I'm very bad at school. I don't like to sit. I've always been bad at school. You know?
It's not for everyone. So you're not actually bad at school. It was bad at supporting you.
Right. And so I was just always awful at it, whatever. And then I ended up going to university, like having to redo a bunch of courses just so I could actually get into university because I failed a bunch of shit, whatever, which is fine. I understand that now, but we were talking about, school and university. And I was like, so what did you do after? Because, like I've seen her for a while, and I ended up, dropping out. So I didn't finish the whole thing and see where she went, and vice versa, and I just told her that I just, I couldn't do it anymore. And then of course, that there's a bit at the time, maybe a bit of shame. I didn't really know if I felt it so much for myself, but maybe from my parents in a way of just kind of like, oh wow, we helped you to do this, and now you don't even want to do it anymore. But now that I do what I do, I just don't, that was really good learning for me. I'm glad that I did it. It was part of the path, but I didn't need it to do what I do, and I'm very contented and feeling happy in all of the things that I get to do with my life now. And it would be so irrelevant if I had a degree right now. Like, I don't need a degree at all.
I mean, it's a money-making system.
Right.
It's like, it's elitist and exclusive, and, it doesn't service the nervous system.
Well, it was really hard at the time because I wanted to be a dietitian at the time, and I had to do, I think 2 sets of like calculus. I think I had to do calculus 1 and calculus 2. I don't know if you've ever taken calculus in your life.
Oh yeah.
It sucks. And so I failed it twice. I took the course again after I failed it the first time, and I failed it again. And then I was like, kind of pretty much close to my last straw there. And it is such a money-making thing, and you get stuck in this trap. Because I was like, well, I just want to support people with their food and to feel good and, like understand their bodies and what we're consuming in all the ways. And here I am having to figure out this fucking graph that makes no sense. Like, it's so irrelevant, I just feel like I got put through the ringer for something that's not really attached to what I was curious in wanting to do or help people with.
Yeah, and I totally understand that we need a certain level of learning and awareness and skill building. Like, I absolutely do not want to go and have surgery with
with me.
Yeah, I will never let you cut me open.
You sure? That's what's next.
Yeah, in the next episode, I understand that certain things require specialized skill. I have specialized skill, and I have done trainings and learnings and developed, and so on and so forth. I think for me, the biggest piece is going back to that curiosity and that why piece. It's like, okay, so are all of these courses, is the way that this system is organized and set up, is it actually supportive to what that individual requires for the job that they're going to be getting or for the tasks that they're going to be doing? Are we bringing in that humanistic component of recognizing like people don't learn under stress, people are struggling and can't function when they're financially, in a deficit. Like there's just so many pieces to the education system. Like this could be a whole other podcast that I just could not get behind. Like I just could not be in agreement. My whole self was just like, yeah, no, that's not for you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was so much. I've spoken to this on a number of other podcasts as well. Like there was just so much, oh, well, there's a pension and there's good benefits. And
there's always that conversation. Benefits.
I can't believe you went and did all this school and now you're just like throwing it away. And it's like, well, nothing is ever lost, there to your comment earlier about you going to school. Like you learned so much about how you learn, what you want to learn, what's important to you, like what feels supportive for you. Like there are
I
really
never
great...
regret it. And that's a big thing that comes up. People say, like, why did you do all this, whatever, or what a waste, or stuff like that, And I'm like, no, it actually taught me that I wasn't stupid. Because my whole life I thought I was really stupid. Because for all 12 years of public school, I was very bad at it, Which, no problem. Like, it's all good. But I thought I was really dumb. And everybody
a lot
was
of
like,
people do.
Right. And everybody was like, oh, wow, like, getting A's or doing well. And I just it just wasn't for me. And so it taught me that I actually started to understand that I was smart when I went to university, So that really, even though I didn't finish anything, like that is huge to be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm kind of I'm smart,
Yeah, I mean, the
Makes a difference.
The majority of clients that I have that the trauma we move through is either related to their family, obviously, and then the second most common thing is school.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So much trauma laced into that whole system. Like when you think about it, we spend in the Western world, like we spend most of our formative years in classrooms in this with system, in this structure, and being only graded,
every mind only graded in one way to one curriculum.
And it's getting better. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I see the ways that a lot of social emotional learning is being brought into classrooms. I see the effort to increase the mental health support, but at the same time, like I've also done residencies in schools in the last 5 years. I've worked with teachers. I've, taught at teachers convention. I have different professional developments for educators specifically. And like, it's not changing fast enough. Like, let's just say that, teachers should not be feeling like they just left a war zone at the end of a school year. And people are constantly in judgment of the time off that they have, but you try sitting and being in a classroom with 30 kids who have different needs. Like, look at, people can't even be in one relationship with one human and live in a house, like, and meet their needs and their own needs. And then you put someone in a classroom that's in charge of 30 little beings with all different needs. Like, are you out of your mind? Oh, wait, yes, it makes you out of your mind. Like, it's too much. Yeah. It's so much. And, so my decision initially, I was like, oh gosh, like, like most major decisions we make as humans in our lives, there's can be a bit of uncertainty and like, oh shit, should I do this? Is this the right move?
Yeah.
And then you leap and you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Right. And so did you think you would be an entrepreneur? Did you even, I don't know. Like, has that always been?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know what
in my heart, I was, even from a child, I was like, I am an entrepreneur, Like, I was always like, I want a business. And some people that I've met that are entrepreneurs, they're like, I had no idea that I would become an entrepreneur.
No, honestly, okay, so. I don't think so. I think what it was is like, I just watched where the gaps were. I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't exist and no one's creating it,
That's
I guess
great.
I'll have to do it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's
You know?
perfect. And that's a really heart-led, like authentic, purposeful, and not trying to harm anybody by like taking their money from them or something way to go about it. You know, when you just see that something needs help. You know, you just see like, I see a gap here. I see that I could be of help or of service, of support in this area. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to do that. It's not fueled by like, I want to, you know, make money and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like how can I separate, you know, people from their cash and things like that. It's just kind of like viewing a gap and being like, I think that I fall into that and I want to make that better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like you had lots of that actually just in the teaching from what you just shared too, that you were like, I don't want to push this shit up the hill on my own and make a change. Like I can't do that alone. I feel like you were already feeling like I have a purpose. I can make change, but then after a while you're like, this is a big beast, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Like I can't take that on. It's the same with healthcare, you know. It's the two main worlds that I am in. I guess there's like three. There's, you know, health and wellness and education, and then there's that, you know, business, leadership, corporate world kind of thing that I dabble in. And all three need a lot of work, need a lot of change. And so, you know, I think every system can use some improvement right now, clearly. Look at our world, and I think there's so much effort externally. Like people will yell and shout and scream like this needs to change and that needs to change. And I'm of the mindset that the more people who can work on themselves, the more people that have the tools, like I mentioned, the more people who become increasingly aware of themselves and their impact and how they relate to the world and how the world relates to them, like that's how we make the change. Like it starts from the inside and then it works its way outside. It's not this, I'm gonna continue to like bang on the doors of all these people to get them to be a different way. It's like, what do I need to do? And like, how do I have to show up in the world? And that's the way that I live. It's like I just try to model in the best ways I can different ways of being and who I really want to be in the world and how I want the world to be.
That's right. Yeah. And so when you quit teaching in public school, then how long was your gap of doing? Did you
my gosh.
I don't know, what did it like?
Well, my life blew up in Australia. I was living in Australia, teaching
amazing.
in Australia. Yeah,
oh,
it was
hell
great.
yeah!
It
What
was
part
great.
of Australia?
I was in the Gold Coast, and then I was in Victoria,
Heaven.
and I was in Adelaide. Like there was a lot. That's like my second home. I really miss
Yes.
it. But yeah, a relationship that was really near and dear to me just kind of exploded, and the person that I loved was struggling with substance abuse and his own trauma, and I thought I would never leave there. And unfortunately, there was a lack of awareness, a lack of tools, a lack of desire to change the behavior and to realize like the pain that this individual was going through and like how that was manifesting in our relationship and our life. And anyways, it was just too much and I had to leave. I couldn't stay any longer. And so, yeah, when I left Australia and I moved back to Canada reluctantly, I was just kind of like, oh shit, what am I going to do? And started to teach some yoga a little bit more deeply and do some coaching on the side. And, you know, there's so much to this story, but ultimately to your question is like, when did the shift kind of happen? It was like when I moved back to Canada and I had to make the decision, like, do I go into teaching? Like, am I going to get myself registered in Canada and go into the classroom? And I was like, nah, like it's just not for me.
Sometimes it can be a difficult pivot to make, sometimes too, depending on how you feel, of course, right? But sometimes it can be difficult because it's natural and comfortable. You know it, you know. Some people get stuck in their careers, even though so badly they quit and they come back, they quit and they leave and it's so familiar. It is like a toxic relationship. It's like, you know, you broke up with the guy and then you see him and you're like, oh, well, you know.
You're like, on paper, not so bad.
Not so bad, you know,
like,
as soon as you're like, oh, but it's so familiar. It's, you know, it's just, I know this so well, or I kind of, I'm sure that there's obviously aspects you like, so there's, you know, pros and cons, maybe it's different in Canada, you know?
Yeah, maybe the Canadians are different. No, they're not. Yeah, you're so right, and I think any entrepreneur has those push and pull, like tug of war thoughts of like,
so much resistance.
Here I am, like rocking this life and doing the things that I want, putting my passion into purpose, and it's like, should I just get a real job with a paycheck? Like, should I
with some stability
that I
count
can just
on,
clock in, clock out, don't have to keep thinking about this all the time? You know, there's that has definitely crossed my mind many times over the last decade plus of doing this work. But you know when it comes back to, then I receive a message from someone, it's like, your course changed my life, or like that conversation we had, the thing you said, or like how you showed up for me, like that was pivotal, that made the biggest difference. It's like I can't stop. Like the work that I am doing with human beings and the communities that I get to build, like that means everything. Like that's what we're here for. And so I can't go get another job.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, and sometimes it gets offered to you. You know, many times it gets offered to you.
Heck yeah.
Come work here, or why don't you come help us, or what, do you want to be on the schedule? Do you want to whatever? And there's so many times, especially kind of early days, of course, but anytime, but early days when you're not, you know, maybe not fully self-sufficient yet in your entrepreneurial, you know, income, whatever. And so, and you have to stay really firm. It becomes really this like battle with yourself sometimes, where you're like, no, you know, like I know that this is what I want to do, and I don't want to keep working for people. Like sometimes people say, come work with us, we need a full-time person, and it's so tempting, you know. You're like, well, of course, sure, that sounds aligned, that it's still a connected workplace, you're interested in the work. But then you're like, no, because yes, these conversations you have, or these messages you receive, they do something else for you in your soul that just cannot. Even if it's fulfilling and beautiful, I've had such great moments in places that I've worked for and with, you know, but still doesn't do that thing for you.
Yeah, there's a time and a place, you know. I would definitely, if someone is struggling in their entrepreneurship journey and you need that safety and you want to minimize the risk, you know, financially, or you need to pause your efforts, like of course, like go get a job.
Also makes you a little bit, you know, you can't be creative when you're like suffering so much either. That's the other aspect, right? So it's like you need some stability and safety and just your foundations, you know, as a being to be taken care of, so that you can actually express what you want to express. But you know, you can't do that, like I think you said it before, like in fear. No, we can't be ourselves. We can't share what we want to share when you're just terrified of, you know, not being able to eat. Like, you know? Yeah. So in if any entrepreneurs are listening out there, like there is no shame in supporting yourself in whatever way that looks. But for me, it was more just, you know, I still don't always like have people banging on my door to do deep spiritual work, or like take a good hard look under the rug of their life and be like, why am I the way that I am? Like, help me out here. You know, it's like, I'm not a nail salon. Like, like people just like aren't rocking up being like, woohoo, this makes me feel so great. And look at how shiny my nails are. Like, it's not that way. And we can do the heavy lifting with lightness. Like, you know, I love using humor, and, you know, I just love humans so much. They'll always know that I believe in them, and it's not scary. Like, I just want to really encourage people. It's not scary to be in the work of development, you know, in excavating what's going on for you, and, you know, being like, I don't want to say like the best version, but, you know, like improving your life. It's a good idea, right? For sure. Well, and I feel like what I do and you do, it's technically, obviously, of course, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of, being ahead of something or being behind on this or just wanting to have all the boxes checked, whatever, and just always like it just feels like mental gymnastics a lot of the time, you know. But it's also felt very easeful to me. Like it feels super challenging, but also really easy at the same time, you know. And so that's why it just, I think that place is really nice, where you're like, I'm putting in all this effort, but also I'm like, you're excited to wake up in the morning. You look forward to what you're going to do and share and connect with, instead of waking up and really dreading the day. Because I don't feel like anybody should dread the day. And that you could love what you do when you wake up and work for others. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You just can wake up and feel excited to do whatever you're going to do. But I think that overall that's important. You know, I think so many people I know, they wake up and they're not happy. Pretty much most of the people I would know on average are just not stoked to do whatever they're doing. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. You know,
it really doesn't. Choice. It really doesn't have to be that way. If you're out there, it doesn't have to be that way. Like there are like mic drop moment, right. You know. Oh my gosh, that'll
be the topic of this of the episode.
Have to be that way,
right?
You know, maybe it's been that way. Maybe you don't know how it could be different, but there is always a way.
There's lots of ways, lots of choice, and also I've always. You know, I used to host like a small business meeting, you know, with other entrepreneurs, and I would share with them that you could also just do something super small. You don't have to go full force, because it's scary, you know. You don't have to do like, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to be an entrepreneur and how am I going to do it whenever. You could just start really small. If you want to be a photographer, you can just go work alongside another photographer. Just talk to them and say, hey, can I come along and just learn a little bit from you? Or you can even work part-time at a photography like store. You don't have, you know, like there's just these little tiny things that make things possible. And it's not impossible. There's roots. You just have to see how to, you know, how am I going to get there? What are the solutions?
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely makes me sad to know and to witness the level of disembodiment in our society and the amount of people that are deeply unhappy, you know? And that also is a huge motivating factor for the work that I do. I watch the ways that stress and disconnection and isolation like impact human beings, and the behaviors, like, you know, my relationship in Australia, like I've seen the pain that people go through and the suffering, and then, you know, they're not bad people. Like I know tons of people who are just really overwhelmed and really traumatized, and things have happened and they haven't known how to process them. They don't have the emotional awareness or the capacity. And so how can we just continue to elevate and increase human capacity? Because that's what's not being taught in our schools, you know. And if you grow up in a container in a family that they don't have that, you know, like where do you go and get it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of people afraid to look at the pain of their life, and I just always encourage people, like, just take a little look, like you said, you know, start small and do it with support. And so, yeah, I just really, my hope and wish for the world is that people can recognize that life can be beautiful and easy and connected and safe and supported. And that hasn't been a lot of people's experience because of the systems that we've created and the oppression that has occurred and the greed and the, you know, we could go on and on, all the reasons why. And I just really want to restore hope in humanity, because people are on the brink of giving up hope on humanity.
Sure. Right.
And rightfully so.
Well, of course, you know, and I feel like even in that, you know, it's just tiny little things that people can do. Something I tell my students all the time is to pick your shit, basically, is what I say, because anything could upset you. All of today could have upset me technically. I haven't even had a bad day. I don't really have bad days, but like I didn't really have I didn't have anything it could be, but there's things that could have happened today that maybe would have really thrown me off. I don't know. Maybe being a little late for something, or just someone driving slow in front of me, or someone driving too fast, or the gas being more expensive at this one. Why didn't I get it here? Like just small, really, really small stuff. And all of that stuff it can throw you.
Yeah.
Super tiny things, but somebody who's like just in this like cycle of upset, which is, again, I feel like I've been there many times, of course, but you have to pick those things. If you said something or today or we did something that was like genuinely really upsetting, then I might get upset. Okay. But like the person driving slow can't upset me, and the gas being too expensive can't upset me, and like all these things that are just I can't do anything about. If I got here and it was raining, I'm probably a little bit upset because I'm tenting, but but like just these little things, like you got to pick your shit. You can't, like, not every little thing can throw you off and upset you. So there is all this choice for like positivity and just what are you allowing in here, because it affects the whole system, the whole body,
Yeah, and are you a regulated human being? Do you sense and notice what's going on in your body, in your system, and do you understand at any kind of level, like, what is happening, for you? Yeah. And once you start to understand your physiology, your biology, your nervous system health, where you're regulated, where you're dysregulated, when that happens, I feel like people are far more able to catch themselves and to recognize that they need to make a shift, or that there's certain simple things that they can do or not do that can bring them back to center. Yeah. Right,
because it's identifiable. Like there's something that they can like identify that they're witnessing, or they know it now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think when people, oftentimes when I teach people about the nervous system, like nervous system 101, like your nervous system is designed to make you survive, like to help you survive, keep you safe. Yeah. Actually.
Right.
And so, when you're primed for threat all the time, like your brain doesn't know the difference between a perceived threat and a real threat, but so much of the wisdom and the information from our body-based wisdom is sensing our environment, and then sends a signal to our brain and communicates like, oh, are we safe? Are we not safe? And so it's like, how do we get people in their bodies to start to learn how to feel what's going on, and then match the messaging, help the brain to recognize like, okay, no, like I'm experiencing some tightness in my chest, or like my palms are sweating. Oh, I'm sensing that I'm a little anxious right now. Like, okay, what's going on around me? Like, who's here? What's happening? Like, am I really unsafe? Like, or is this just my body's kind of way of alerting me to something? Am I going to override that? Am I going to listen to that?
Yeah. And you had said before we were recording that you had been working with the nervous system, like you started doing it kind of 10 years ago, roughly, kind of thing, right? And so, I don't know what you like learned about it, and you were like, you just captivated by the idea, or like, I don't know, because it kind of sounds like, well, to be fair, I feel like this is a many person thing, of course, right? But it kind of sounds like you, had a lot of like nervous system upset and like dysregulation in your upbringing, of course, just in what your story so far and what you've shared with me. So it was that like when you started learning about it, you're like, yeah, this is me. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh, have you read the book Highly Sensitive Person?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, did you learn about the nervous system? Yeah. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's my colleague Sid and I have been like formally teaching about the nervous system for, I don't know, like 6 years now. Like this is prior to, Instagram posts about the nervous system. It's so popular now, and at least like probably my algorithm and your algorithm and many others. It's like, polyvagal theory and burnout and nervous system regulation. And I learned about the nervous system way back in the day because my initial degree was in child health and development.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, a lot of the psychosocial, like biological, physiological things, like I understood. But it wasn't until later in life where I could start to like really in practicality and in real time witness, attachment theory and nervous system and, nonviolent communication, or just all these different layers of my degree was like in the classroom, or, I was able to kind of trace it back to my own family and my own upbringing of like, oh wow, that was kind of fucked up, like that wasn't really healthy for my nervous system, or wow, okay, like that was a really activated situation nobody handled well. Like, how did I respond as a little kid? Oh, I made a lot of stories and made it mean something about me, or I felt unsafe, and then that kind of carried and created a pattern. And so I feel like I'm on a tangent right now, but
I just think about my childhood.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I mean,
there's like, it's just like,
yeah, right.
Sometimes when I'm like, oh my gosh,
I know.
the pieces and the puzzle and it's all coming together.
It's so beautiful. Like sometimes I'm learning it, I'm like, yeah, more. And sometimes I'm learning it, I'm like, I gotta set this down. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, when I think about what you're talking about with, you know, people being activated and charged and upset by the slow driver, and then the gas is expensive,
and what's the root of that, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's like someone's toggled stress and activation, you know, on in their system, and their body, their physiology, their cells, like they haven't learned how to take a deep breath or how to soften the muscles. Like the body needs to come to a place of ease, and then the mind can also start to settle. But like, if the brain is like, oh, there's a threat, and the body's like, oh, okay, there's a threat, like, whoa, should we activate? Should we start running? Should we freeze? You know?
Why do you find, like, because, to me, a fast car, someone, like, maybe coming behind me or towards me or something could be, like, a real big actual threat, because you're like, oh, wow, this person's, like, so crazy on the road. But why does the idea of, like, slowing down and patience, like if someone is going so slow in front of me, why would that upset someone in the way of, like, you know, because I know some people that just they gotta go, that also bothers them too. What's the, like,
I mean, I can't speak to everyone's individual experience, but like why they're pissed off at a slow driver, but I have some theories. You know, one is, in our society, we're so primed and programmed to go, and to rush. No one gives themselves any buffer time. Everything is just a hurry. You know, it's just like, it's just an operating system of constant doing means we're productive, which means we're worthy, you know? So like, how dare you slow me down? I've got places to be, people to see. And yeah, I also think like shitty time management, you know, like you said you were going to be somewhere at 3:00 and you left it to the last minute, and now you have no buffer. To my point, like, so then now it's this other person's problem because they're slow driving because they're 100 and they don't see very well, but you know, whatever.
But you gotta get going.
Sometimes
I wonder if the slow, I don't know if the driving does the same thing, because it's, you're like a little bit more distracted, but sometimes when I've been avoiding a lot of things in my life or my emotions, when I do slow into something like Shavasana, I really am met with a lot mentally, or I start crying a lot in my resting pose, because it's actually quiet and I'm slowed down. I'm not going all the time, you know, whatever. And so sometimes I wonder if the slow is, it's like a threat in a different way. It's like not like a speeding car threat, but it's like a slow, and I have to be stuck with myself for a little while longer kind of thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely a threat to the nervous system. If you're so programmed and to operate at a fast pace, and then all of a sudden it's like quiet and slow, it's like, oh my gosh, is there a threat? Like, what's happening right now? Your nervous system sometimes doesn't regulate or register. It's not your norm, and so it can feel really foreign. And so I like to talk to our students about this idea of titration. Like, I'm not going to tell we saw this in COVID, like, you know, I'm not going to tell the marathon runner, like, you got to stop running tomorrow, like cold turkey, see you later, no more.
Right.
You know, that will be so jarring on the system that is so conditioned to do that thing over and over again, right? It's the thing that they believe they've programmed to keep themselves safe for whatever reason. And so if I take that away, it's going to feel really scary for a lot of people. And so the idea is, you know, how do we start to make these incremental changes and adjustments to one's system, so that they can titrate into a new state, right? But if someone is constantly in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, You know, it's like if I said to a people pleaser, like, okay, well, like, you're never allowed to people please anymore. But that's the behavior that they've adopted, that they've told themselves will keep them safe, will keep them belonging, like, will keep the conflict at a minimum, you know? There's so many pieces to it. Yeah, it's such a fascinating, I want to say like modality. It's not even a modality. It's just like our biology, you know, like, but when people start to weave that into their healing modalities, into their practices, into their everyday life, you know, if a parent can understand the idea of co-regulation, and that, you know, their nervous system and their child's nervous system wires together, you know, that's huge. Right. We see so many anxious kids, and I'm like, oh, what's the parent like?
Yeah. And I had this, I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but I had this conversation about actually public schools and kids, and how the kids sometimes are unruly. There's like a kid that's just very challenging, you know, whatever. And the kid often really takes a lot of the blame that something's wrong with them, and that they're disruptive to the class, and that, you know, we have to talk to their parents because, and like, we got to put them separate. We got to put them in the hall. We got to put their desk out there. They need to get a special helper to come in and help them. And they can't do this, and they're yelling, or they're just hard to work with. And at the time when you were a kid, or just when you know, now we know a little bit more, of course, right? But when you were a kid, you just were like, yeah, this kid is a problem. Like,
yeah, what a menace. And meanwhile, that kid is just dying for attention, dying for love, dying to be seen, whatever.
Yes, or just needs other type of support and help. And at home, they're really, really not getting it, because their parents sometimes, even nowadays, I know some people that their parents like completely denied that they had alternative way of learning, or that they had different diagnoses that they just didn't know about, but they had these conditions growing up. You know, they were autistic, or they had ADHD, and so they were really struggling as a child. But the parent was like, he's kind of having a hard time, but he's fine. He'll figure it out, whatever. And here, this child is suffering, and then just gets blamed by everyone in that space, that it's their fault.
Yeah, the environment impacts us so much, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that quote of, if the flower isn't blooming, and you don't go and try to fix the flower, you look to the soil. And I think that's just always something that I keep in the back of my mind. Very important. You know, so important. Right.
Yeah, and I feel for any kid. I feel like I, of course, had aspects of being this kid, but just sometimes, you know, just any child that's in school right now, or just in these systems, I just feel really bad, because their house life is really, really challenging and doesn't give them safety. And school, like, sometimes is the safe place, but they still so distracted.
I actually want to stop saying that school is a safe place, because it's not always a safe place.
But like, they're hoping it might be, because their house might be so bad, and then they're like coming here thinking I'm with my friends, and it's still not good because they're getting blamed, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's Gabor Mate that who I've worked with for a number of years, and so grateful that he's trending. Anyone who's listening, if you haven't read any of his books, please do. You'll learn so much. But you know, he talks about safety as not just the absence of threat, but the presence of connection. And that's so beautiful and so important, and just such a great reminder for every human on this planet. Like, there is so much to the health of our nervous systems, and how we are in our environments, and the programming that we've, you know, adjusted to, or the maladaptive processes and strategies to keep us what we perceive as safe, you know? And if safety is the presence of connection, then of course we're going to people please. Of course we're going to get baptized in grade, 8, because we want to belong. Like, all of these ways of being that we all are exhibiting are typically motivated by connection and safety. And so, yes, there are real threats to our survival. Yes, people are born into environments and have like really horrific experiences. And those are not the only types of trauma. You know, there's a lot of people who are suffering as a result of the lack of safety in other ways.
Yeah, and not having those things provided for them, especially in like childhood. Right. And how do I segue into your embodied living? How do I segue into that? I was hoping that you would share at least, unless you have so much more to say here, which I would assume you do, you know, but I wanted you to share about your, you know, your work and embodied living and the trainings and things like that. And of course the festival, which I didn't know, and now I'm so happy to learn, but I didn't even know that was something that you created. I didn't know that till now. So if you want to share about that from this.
I mean, Embodied Living and Lucent Festival are, like I said, they're just born of seeing a need and a gap. And the festival was primarily started because I had friends who I wanted to go to wellness festivals with. At the time, Wanderlust was the big festival. Yeah. I'm sure you remember.
Did you end up going to that?
I've been to a few of them.
Oh, good. Which years do you go? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, I think it was like 2013 or 2014 or something.
Oh,
or
we were
both.
at the same
I was
one.
like Whistler, and I was in California as well. But
amazing.
They were fun and also super commercialized and lots of superstar yogis and you know, the cool and the best of the best. And
right.
That was really fun, but I also witnessed that there are everyday amazing facilitators and guides that I think deserve spotlight as well.
Okay,
and need to be shared in their communities.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to move away from that rock star mentality and positioning of humans, like this hierarchy of,
right, that makes sense, know? Especially with Wanderlust, because it was so big and like is so big, and kind of like yoga celebrities,
the yoga celebrities, you know,
which is so funny. Like,
totally.
what a combination
of
words.
Weird world. Oh my gosh.
The
the yoga industry, I don't
know, girl, I'll talk about it with you after the podcast, because there's so much to say about the yoga world, you know.
And I'm so grateful for it. And again, just another system. As humans are imperfect.
That's right.
Whatever we create is going to be wacky and wonderful. So like a lot of friends were having babies and they were like, oh, I can't go to Wanderlust. There's just nothing to do for the kids. Like, the kids are welcome, but like not really.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't anything facilitated for them. I remember seeing people with babies on their mats, of course, just while they were practicing. Yeah. And then also things were just really far and spread apart, and you had to like sign up for certain things. And I'm like, wait, but I like bought a ticket. Like, why can't I go to this class? And it was like, no, this one's extra. That's true. Yeah.
And so I just felt like I wanted to create an all-inclusive type of experience that was a bit more grassroots and homegrown and super wholesome, where people just buy a ticket, they can camp. We're all together in community. There's different classes, and again, to build human capacity. Like, I don't want people to think yoga is just for a certain kind of someone. That's right. You know, or I don't want therapy or sound healing or creative arts to be like exclusive to a certain kind of someone. And so I really wanted to have this diverse range of activities that people could come and experience. And maybe it's the first time ever they've experienced that, and how cool, you know, or even camping. There's been so many parents who have brought their kids, or even like people who have come by themselves and they're like, this is my first time camping. And I'm like, wow, how cool is that you can be in our community and try that on. And you feel safe and supported to do that, you know, because that is how we learn, when we are safe and supported, and they're, you know,
and all these different areas of growth that you might not initially expect when you put together. You might think that whatever's being facilitated is the area of growth, but actually it's the pitching the tent by yourself, like
totally,
you know, like it's all driving there alone, or whatever it is, you know, like all these areas where people just grow and they've never done that before, and it's scary, and here we are doing it, you know.
Absolutely. And my background in experiential education, that is my specialty, if you will. And so that just kind of was the natural progression of like, okay, I'm coming back to Canada, I'm not going back into the school system, so I'm going to create this company called Embodied Living, and I'm going to start doing wellness retreats. And the retreats aren't just going to be about like, you know, doing yoga. They're going to incorporate like workshops to develop people and to provide them skills and tools and resources, as I've mentioned a million times. And so I really wanted, at first the business was called Embodied Adventure, and then it transitioned and rebranded to Embodied Living, because I was like, oh, this is like so much more than adventure, you know, so much more than the retreats. This is really like how to help people live an embodied life. And then this festival was just kind of like a subsection of that. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm always of the mindset that if it doesn't exist and you want it, then I guess create it. Make it happen. Right. Just make it happen, you know? And I'm, again, like, my trauma has created me to be very resourceful, very adaptive, and I'm so grateful for these experiences in my upbringing that have propelled me to be the way that I am. Yeah. And I'm also like very clear and aware of when I can put those ways of operating down too, you know, when I don't always have to be in service, or I don't have to be the responsible one right now, or when I do need to turn it on and make a go of something, you know? Yeah. So yeah, we teach a number of different courses, a variety of different lengths, and I do teach a certified like yoga teacher training, and honestly, like, I would prefer not to call it a yoga teacher training.
You just got stuck in that curriculum again.
Yeah,
somehow.
And it's like,
how the hell did this happen?
What white old guy was like, oh, 200 hours is the appropriate requirement to teach yoga. I was like,
need the certification.
Yeah, and I'm like, why? What do you mean?
I know.
So, you know, our program is very much holistic and robust and beautiful, and it's truly life-changing, and that feels so weird to say, but I can say it with full certainty that it changes people's lives for the absolute best.
How many years have you been doing things like training, teacher training, whatever you want to kind of call it?
Yeah, I was part of a number of different faculties with other schools back in the day, and then Sydney and myself started the training that we have in 2020. So yeah, COVID again, like born of necessity. Like people were like, oh shit.
So you do stuff online, like initially?
Yeah, we did like a hybrid program, which we still do. So we do part online, but it's live, and then we have a 10-day immersion out here, actually. And so, yeah, I was kind of saying earlier about the runner, and like if you take away that running from them, and they're just going to be, you know, so overwhelmed. They're like, oh my god, the tool, the resource that I use, even if it's like a shitty resource, like I still use it. So I think it's better for me than nothing. And we saw that in COVID, like when things got shut down and when people were not able to be in the spaces that they would typically frequent, or like they weren't able to go to yoga or go to the gym, and they couldn't see their families, like
any sort of structure, whether good, you know, quoted good or bad for you, whatever it was, any sort of structure, even going to the pub.
Yeah, it's like all the external tools, all the external resources were taken see you later,
and then quickly too.
And then everyone was like, "Oh shit, I have no inner resources." And so Sid and I were like, "Oh, this is gonna be an issue." So how can we start to help people develop the inner resources that will never get taken away? Like, no one can take away your breath. No one can take away your mindset. You know, no one can take away your free will and your choice and your autonomy and your, you know, the way that you perceive something. That's all you. And that's really beautiful and super empowering. And I just love being able to watch people, untangle some of the stories, untangle some of the patterns, untangle like the limiting beliefs, the unhelpful ways of being. That, again, like, thank you, body, for adapting in that way and keeping me safe all these years by like making me a workaholic, and I'm so successful, but like, okay, I don't want to burn out anymore. It's like, there's another way.
I'm telling you.
So we just sort of help guide and steer folks in that realm, and you know, just so happens they get a bonus certificate to
little piece of paper. It's like
their
master's degree. Frame it.
You know,
right?
And like, they're all incredible teachers should they want to teach, and they are embodied leaders, and that's the main thing. And I would say, like, I don't know, like 80% don't teach publicly. They've done the course for their own experience and their own awareness, and they use the skills, and they're so transferable, so they use them in lots of different ways.
Right, and that's beautiful, you know, and that was something I didn't really know until I went to teacher training. There was quite a few people actually in my cohort that they didn't want to teach publicly, and I just would have never thought that myself. I didn't really know what I was doing when I did teach a little bit, like I figured I would probably teach, you know, whatever, but I thought that most people would come there, or all of them would come there with that intention of, I'm doing schooling and I'm learning this thing so that I can you know, do this as a job or career or whatever it is, or on the side and make money and whatever it is, you know. And like 90% of people were like, I'm just doing this for the knowledge. That was my first time really understanding that, because I probably didn't really immerse myself very deeply, and you know, it's probably just public classes, and you don't talk to people that way, and people are just attending as student, not so much wanting to learn more necessarily, you know. And that was the first time I realized that people just want the knowledge.
Yeah, we didn't get it. You know, no one who taught you about your bones and the way to move. Like, not a lot of people. Yeah. You know, or they were taught how to move in a way that was damaging to their body because they were an athlete, or they trained certain hard for a sport, or, you know, there's just so many reasons why people kind of find yoga, or how yoga finds them. Well,
what I like about yoga is that it's extremely well-rounded. It doesn't miss anything, and that's a beautiful thing.
100%.
There's something for everybody, you know.
Yeah, and I'm always of the thought that, you know, community is everything. Yeah. And human connection, like, we are so biologically wired to be together, and so it's really beautiful. If you want to come to a yoga class and just lay there, right, cool. Yeah, you're doing the yoga. That's right. If you can breathe, you can do yoga. Yeah. So show up as however you need to show up. Yeah. It's nice to be with the energy. Totally. And to just be told what to do, and so just even be told just for the breath. Even if you just do that aspect of it, whatever, just to be told, like, okay, we're inhaling now, we're exhaling now, and that's really, I don't know, it creates something nice in the self. Yeah. And it's tough because when people are like, oh, you're a yoga teacher, I'm like, I am. That's part of what I do. Yeah. You know, being a yoga teacher is so much more expansive than teaching people physical poses. You know, that's something that a lot of people don't understand until they go and take a training themselves, or they really immerse themselves in a yoga training or experience. I just said that, but yeah, I find that there's a quick jump in someone's head to what they think you do and are when you say it. You know, like I teach yoga, and then instantly they just, you know, it's very physical, and the poses, and, you know, all these different aspects, and it's such a small part of it, right? The physical elements, right? And for some people, it's all that it is, and that's cool too. That's fine. Yeah. For me, it's more the lifestyle, and how I show up in the world, and how I manage my emotions and regulate myself, and the things I think, and what I say, and what I do, and how I interact. Everything. It's everything. Yoga is everything. Yeah. If you take away another thing from this episode, is that it's all connected, and everything is yoga. We're all one. Yeah. And then, sorry, how long have you been doing the festival for? Oh, this is our 11th year. Wow, that's a really long time. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be a little bit shorter than that. 11 years, hey? Wow. Long time. Lots to learn. Lots to discover about that. I don't think the logistics of a festival are too simple. Putting it lightly. Yeah. There's a few things that need to happen. Yeah, no kidding. Just a few things. That's exciting. Where is it going to be? It's in Alberta, just outside of Canmore, between Canmore and Calgary. Okay. And Kananaskis. So it's always been in Alberta, because that's where I was when I first moved back to Canada from Australia. Okay. I haven't brought it to BC. That might be something that I do in the future, which would be kind of fun. Island. Yeah. But it's August 8th, 9th, 10th. And people can come for the weekend, or they can come just for the Saturday is the main day. So there's a market, and there's music. We do a big potluck in community. There's pancake breakfast on Sunday. People camp. There's tons of classes.
Very sweet.
We're on a beautiful, regenerative, sacred ranch, which is so special. And the horses are there and the chickens and the soil's being tended to. Yeah, it's really, really quite special. And some of these families that have been coming, and it's not all families. There are individuals that come. There are groups of friends, you know. But some kids I have watched grow up. Like, this is their family tradition every year. Like, they don't miss the weekend. And I've seen their kids from babies and now they're 10 years old, you know. So it's really unique and really special. And I feel really blessed because I feel that way in all of the communities that I'm a part of. And I think that I have to take credit for the genuine connection and care that is surrounding me at all times. You know, it's what I offer to the world.
Yes.
And
yes.
I very much feel blessed for the most part to be in reception of that as well in the community spaces that I'm in.
Well, it's that exchange too, you know. You kind of have to accept the help or the gift or the love or the kind words, you know, and even for yourself, not even from a different person, just from yourself, to think like, I do a really good job. I did a great job with that. No, it's nice sometimes, you know.
It's so important.
It doesn't happen a lot internally, I think, on average. And sometimes it is given to you from someone else. I can say, you know, like, that's beautiful that, you know, what you've done. And I really appreciated that experience with you that you facilitated. And you know, not you, but just, you know, might not be in a place where it's received, maybe heard, but not really received. And it's not in this area of full acceptance or the understanding of reciprocity between the exchange of like this word, and that you just accepting that it's true and not dismissing it and being like, no, it's, you know, it's
no big deal.
It's no big deal, whatever, you know. And sometimes it's just nice to, you know, whatever. I've seen that work be done with a few people, and it's really interesting to see some people like all of a sudden be like, yeah, you know, I will receive that. Thank you. You're like, okay, I can tell you're working on that. Like, you know, it's just challenging. I don't think we're brought up to.
No, we celebrate.
We're doing a good job.
Yeah, we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and you know, job promotions, but we're not often taught to celebrate, you know, the skills that we build, or leaving relationships that are, or jobs that are not aligned, or, you know, building healthy friendships and, you know, fostering community. Like, there's so much beauty in celebrating, and the reciprocity piece, like you said, you know, that exchange of giving and receiving, and there's a lot of take out there. And there's also a lot of give. Like, people are pouring their entire selves, and we see it in the spiritual entrepreneurship world. You know, so I've been guilty of that, you know, just giving and giving and giving, and often with the hope that, you know, oh, well, they promised this or they said this and it'll all come back around, and sometimes it doesn't. But you know, just being super mindful of the energy input and output, you know, and that reciprocity piece. It's huge.
It is, and being true to what you say. You know, just if you
integrity.
Integrity is really big too.
That's a huge deal.
You know, it's really interesting because now lately, all I want to share and talk about is simplicity, and just bare bones everything. Like, just even the spirituality. It doesn't need to be too up here in ascension, and I really feel like it actually has to be a lot more grounded and just really simple. Just, you know, do your best. Not always does it mean it's easy and simple, but just like, do your best to be kind, and do your best to give when you can, and take care of yourself when you can, and, you know, whatever, like, and whatever feels right. Like, if it feels really good to do this thing, then I'm going to do this thing. And if I don't want to spend time with that friend, I don't think I want to anymore. Okay, I don't want to. You know, just really simple. Not being all fussy, not needing all the answers, not having to seek 10 healers for everything. It's really good sometimes, don't get me wrong, but, you know, just I don't know,
I agree,
feeling into
less is more,
and
focus on what really truly matters.
That too, you know. And that's what I feel like an aspect of this pick your shit thing that I do. It's just I'm like, well, I don't know, you're gonna like cause such upset in the body, and it doesn't really matter. You know, your relationships really matter, and your connections with others really matter, and you know what you're doing daily is important to, I don't know, cultivate a good mind space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm so grateful to be able to have conversations with people like you, and I'm so proud of people like you who are putting themselves out there and choosing to show up. Like it's scary to do new things, and it's often really daunting to put yourself out there. You know, we run the risk of comparison and judgment and rejection, and those are big things that rock our nervous system and can really dismantle our beings. And so I just want to acknowledge, the beautiful work that you're doing to bring people together in conversation and storytelling. And it's really important. And I don't think we need another podcast that goes into the expert level ways of how to biohack your fucking life. Like, sorry. I just don't. No.
And I had a subject for, thank you, by the way, that was very kind of you. I made some subjects of things I was kind of wanting to share, and I was kind of wanting to share that I just feel like I just don't need to prove that I'm a good person anymore. I don't need to prove that I'm really intelligent, or that I'm so good, and I'm all, you know, very kind all the time, and that I'm perfect or whatever, and that, you know, I've found spirituality in all these ways of being, and I'm the greatest, whatever. Like, I don't really feel like I've ever had to prove that, but you do feel like there's an aspect of just being like, yeah, here I am, and this is what I do, and whatever. I don't know. I just feel like it's just good to be real. Like, I make mistakes all the fucking time. Like, you know, it's just the way it is. It's life.
Yeah, you are a human being. And, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, and I'm just like, it's human being syndrome. Like,
thank you.
I'm so sorry that I just don't. I'm not actually sorry.
I wrote about it the other day.
Yeah.
I know. I wrote about it the other day because I just feel I was interviewing or talking to someone, whatever, on the podcast, and they were saying that they deal with imposter syndrome, and they've dealt with it pretty much like all of their life. And then I said, what is that like? Because I don't personally know what that's like. And they said, really? You don't have that? You don't deal with that? And I said, oh no, like, I don't know. They're like, even with all the things you've done, because, you know, I've been many things similar to what you started with, you know, we've done many things in our life.
We're good at generalists.
You know. And I said, no, like, I think I'm just a human having a human experience. I'm just a being on this earth, and I just want to try things, and I'm curious, and I want to know, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and, you know, there's there's endless things to learn and know and adventure into and be, and you don't there's this box aspect of like, I'm like, I don't know, I never even got formal training for photography, but that doesn't make me not a photographer. Like, I'm a photographer, okay, whatever. I'm a podcast host, and I don't know, I tend to my plants too, so sure, I'm a botanist. Like, whatever the fuck, like, you know, like, I could be whatever. It doesn't, totally. You know, it's just, you're just human. So this imposter syndrome topic has been very interesting for me.
Yeah, for sure. And like, there's always going to be someone who knows more than you, and there's going to be someone who knows less, and there's always going to be someone who's tried a little harder and tried a little less.
That's
like,
right.
You know, so you can look to compare yourself, or you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to give this a good go and see how it is. And it kind of scares me a little bit because I've never done it before. And that's which so natural and fair.
Right.
And of course I'm going to feel nervous or a little anxious. And, you know, again, when you understand your nervous system and why, you can have that perspective of like, absolutely, of course I would feel this way trying something new for the first time and putting myself out there.
Because I've been rejected a lot in my life. And exactly. It comes down to this or something. Yeah, exactly. You know, it makes so much sense. And every time I've met fear in that way of being scared, you know, it's like one time I walked into a yoga audition, and it was a group audition, the first one I'd ever done like that. And I almost just like turned around and left the room because I was like, I'm really nervous. I'm scared, you know, whatever. And I was like, no, Whitney, like, you're scared, you gotta do it anyway. You gotta do it anyway because you're gonna feel proud of yourself that you were scared and that you did it anyway.
Yeah, and you weren't unsafe in that situation. There was no threat to your actual survival.
Self. Yeah.
And so therefore you needed to have a little pep talk with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like, tell your body it's okay.
Right. And I've always felt proud after the fact. I've always felt really good. Like, and I feel like on average, you know, usually you feel a little bit better after you're like, I did the thing. Like, you know, like I was going to turn around and leave, but I did it.
Yeah, of course. And I don't know, sometimes too, I think about this idea of imposter syndrome. I'm like, okay, well, if you feel like an imposter, like, are you not showing up as your real self? Like, is that why you feel like an imposter? Because like, I don't ever, who are you really? Or like, are you, maybe you are being an imposter and you're afraid to get found out. So then, in my opinion, just be fucking real and you don't have anything to worry about.
Yes. Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, we swear on here all the time. This is a perfect, no, we have an explicit rating on the Tula Community Podcast. Yeah. No, I get it. You know, and that sometimes I wonder about that too. I'm like, is it conditioning? Because sometimes to me, like when I wrote about imposter syndrome, I just thought, does it come down to just a lack of self-confidence and self-esteem and just, I'm just not good enough, you know, comparison. Yeah, I'm just not good enough and I can't do it because someone is better than me or I don't have schooling, so I can't do it, whatever. Or does it come from this place of like, are you actually that thing? Like, are you trying to be I don't know, like a photographer of you know, corporations or something like that. You're trying to do like office photography, but you really want to be, I don't know, a photographer of yoga people. And of course you're going to feel like in the wrong place.
Yeah, it's like a lack of alignment, you know?
Yeah, like all
not
the
being
reasons.
True and authentic. I think that's why you and I get along so well. It's because
instantly
I'm like, oh hey, cool, I know you, but like that's the thing. It's like how you show up online, how I show up online. Like it's true and real, and you have an energetic sense, and the words that we're saying and the things that we're doing and how we're portraying ourselves. Like it's real. Like it's just who we are, right? You know, and I don't think either of us are pretending to be something we're not. And so then when you actually meet in real life, you're like, oh, hey, like actually who you are is what you say. Like you didn't catfish me or whatever that phrase is. I don't know. Is that what they say in the dating world?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But not this time. Maybe I'll get you next time.
Yeah. You know?
Maybe that's why I was at the wrong unit. You know? So I was like, this is not the right house. This is the right house. And you're like, oh my God, that's not her.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I hope that it translates that way. And of course, I believe that it does for you. And I just don't really like bullshit. I just never liked bullshit. You know?
No, once I bought a domain that was like bye bullshit, and I thought I was gonna have this like whole. I think I still have it. I was gonna have this whole business.
You should make it like bullshit. A single page something. You know,
I don't even remember.
Have it be running for something.
What
bye bullshit.
Bye bullshit. Yeah.
It's pretty good actually though.
Right?
I'm glad you own that one. Yeah. Somebody might want that.
Don't you dare take .com, someone out there.
Right.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
You better buy it before we release this. So you can have CA and com.
Yeah, trademark that shit.
That's right, my bullshit.
But I mean, I think in the spiritual world too, like, you know, even saying the spiritual world kind of makes me want to like barf a little bit.
I get
because you used the word ascension earlier. Like we often talk about like, oh, and like enlightenment and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, give me a break. Like, and it's even in this idea of intuition, like no one is more intuitive than others. It's like we all have this ability and this capacity to feel and sense and know and connect, and it's just like, are you utilizing those skills? Are you strengthening that part of your being? Are you attuning your receptors to your environment, to others, to your internal world? Like no one is better in the spiritual world, and that it really makes me, I don't know, kind of grinds my gears a little bit,
because I have come back to simplicity.
Yeah, I have so many students that come to me that have taken a training or have worked with this healer and worked with that person, you know, and they're so sad and let down and actually sometimes traumatized by these people who make claims that they are something and then they're not. And it's just, you know, talk about yoga as like a himsa, like do no harm, but like you're doing harm when you're misleading and when you're not showing up as your true self, or you're showing up and thinking you're better than someone else.
That's right.
Like, sorry, it's just not, that's not what I would call true spirituality, going back to like all the way back to the beginning of our conversation.
Or true yoga. And you see a lot of messiness in the yoga community, which is it's so strange to see sometimes. And I was teaching that the other day because I saw that you had Eastern Body, Western Mind, and I was reading that.
I love that book.
It's a great book, you know, and I was reading it a while ago, and I learned a lot about just foundation, like root chakra or whatever. I was kind of avoiding it because I just feel like everybody's always talking about the chakras, and I was like, and I just feel like everybody's always trying to like sell me a workshop being like, heal your chakras. I'm like, leave my fucking chakras alone. Like, just leave them alone. I don't care. And so I was like not really reading it because I was like, it's fine, whatever. And then I started reading it. I was like, it's actually a really good book, whatever. And I was just reading about root chakra and grounding down, and of course like our foundational childhood years and how that even before birth it's really affected by these things, and those are things that we definitely cannot change. That that what happened to us at a very young age is just that's what it was, and I was just thinking about and reading about just these ideas, because in our world of studies of yoga lineage or spirituality lineage, there's so much conversation about higher consciousness or knowing and ascension and getting to all these stages and all these things. And I thought I kind of just feel like nobody's really grounded and rooted enough. Like there's not enough also going downward and connecting down there. And I was just teaching the other day in my teaching, I was saying to them, I was like, you don't need to access any other higher consciousness. You already know in your heart what's right and what's wrong. You know it. You walk into a room, you can sense if it's like, oh, I don't really like that person. You don't even have to give it a ton of name. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to think that you're some spiritual fucking guru. You just walk in, you're like, I don't really like that person. They give me bad vibes. And it turns out to be for good reason later on. That you already know. It doesn't need all this hubbub. It doesn't need all these titles and names, whatever. Like I walk in and I connect with you, and boom, that's spiritual, man. Like it's just kind of like this is cool. That's great. Like my sense is sensing that this is an alright person, and vice versa, and that's it.
Yeah. And we live in a world where most people are disembodied and disassociated, so they're not actually sensing and using the wisdom they do maybe need some guidance. We do need to get back in our bodies, but who you're working with, and if anyone ever tries to tell you that they're better than you, then that is bullshit. Yeah.
It's a good way of knowing if you're in the right space or not, but you might not know it right away, right? And some of my favorite people that I've connected with that are some people that I really look up to, or are teachers or healers or whatever you want to call them, just people of the world that want to do what they do and lead with their heart. They have always been people that tell me that I don't need them. That's how I know I'm in the room with a good teacher or a good person, when they're like, you don't really need me. I'll help you. I'll show you or teach you or show you a book, whatever, but you don't really need me. And I'm like, okay, that's a good teacher.
Yeah. That's codependency.
Right. Yeah. And it creates some of those traumatic bonds that people have with their, their gurus and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. I want to be in relationship with humans and right relationship with humans.
Right. That's big. Yeah, relationship.
Yeah, and with myself, I want to make sure that how I show up in the world is important and meaningful and true and real for me. That's the most important measure of my success, I think, is if I can look back on my life and be like, am I okay? Like, am I in integrity with myself?
Yeah.
Did I do everything that I could to be the most well and balanced and kind version of me? It's like, okay, cool. Yeah.
And forgiving when you weren't.
Yeah.
Because
of course, grace, because I'm human.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
grace.
Yeah. More grace.
Yeah.
More grace. Oh, well, it's been so lovely chatting to you.
Super great. Is there anything else you feel like you want to touch on or share?
I don't think so.
No, that's good. I like that.
I feel like, if people want more, they can come to us.
But they don't need us.
They don't need us. Well, you come to us if you want us. If
please
you would
come.
like to.
Yeah. No, you don't have to.
Yeah. Right. Full free will. We will never force you to do anything.
No,
seriously,
we're not looking to create trauma.
No. But no, I don't really feel like there's anything else. I think it's just really important, like I said, to have these kinds of conversations.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And thanks for your time and sharing this space with me.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my home.
Of course.
So nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Kind of wish people could be here with us,
Next
but
time.
hopefully they feel it. They feel the good energy.
They can.
Yeah.